I'm James Whittaker, and you're listening to the Talk Healing to Me podcast.
Hey there, welcome to the Talk Healing to Me podcast. This is our very first episode. What you can expect is front row seats of conversations with some of the world's true leaders in health and well-being, as well as some people with MS that have transformed their health. And they're all going to be here sharing with you tips, tools, and strategies to have success with MS. Now, the quote for today comes from Maya Angelou, and it says, "I can be changed by what happens, but I refuse to be reduced by it." Now, in this episode, we talk with James Whittaker about ways to win your day every day. We talk about what to focus on when things feel brutal, how to create confidence in yourself, and the importance of daily rituals. Now, before we get into it, the right bit of inspiration can completely change the trajectory of someone's health and life. So if there's a friend or a loved one who needs to hear this episode or could use some help, please share it with them right now. Let's go win the day with James Whittaker. Joining us today on the Talk Healing to Me podcast, 3 times best-selling author and renowned entrepreneur, James Whittaker, the author of Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy, the official companion to multi-million-dollar film based on Napoleon Hill's original classic. He's also the host of the Win the Day podcast. Now, James rubs shoulders with the best minds in the world in LA, but it is a far cry from his teenage years with debilitating anxiety that had him either pass out or get sick. Now, after a particularly inconsolable moment during his college years, James' mom had some very warm words that sparked his entire career and his promise to take ownership of his life and would help as many people as he could along the way do the same. I am one of those people. Now, in this episode, we chat about how to respond when adversity strikes and how to win our day every day and what you can do to have the same. I love this quote from James. On the journey to success, when adversity inevitably strikes, how you respond to it is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary achievers. The Talk Healing to Me podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute medical or professional advice. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host or the production team. Always consult your physician or a qualified healthcare provider regarding any questions you have about a medical condition or health objectives. Listening to this podcast does not create a doctor-patient or coach-client relationship. James, it's so good to see you.
Great to see you too, Karen. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to Talk Healing to Me podcast.
I love it. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. So congrats on the show and all that you do to help so many people around the world.
Tell me a question that you ask yourself every day and how it helps you win your day.
Yeah, really, really good question. For me, it's that decision every single morning, first thing in the morning, to acknowledge that the day is there to be won. And as recently as this week, I started a new type of journaling. I moved away from the 5-minute journal and I moved towards an app that I just use on my phone called the Day One, which is the name of my mastermind. It's just spelled O-N-E instead of W-O-N. And a guest on my show had actually mentioned the Day One app for journaling. And I was just hit with this wave of inspiration to want to do this morning journaling, which I did on my phone. And what I love about that is it's something that I can get a notification of to say, hey, a year ago, this is the note that you wrote and here were the things that were going on in your life. You can attach photos and different things like that. But always the question comes down to what things am I grateful for and what am I going to do to make today a win? And when you write down those 3 things, it just nags away at you until you get them done. And they don't all need to be related to business. So one of the things, my wife's gone away for a night just to go and hang out with a girlfriend of hers to have a very well-deserved time to herself. And one of the things that I had on my list that would make today great for me is to take my daughter or our daughter out on her scooter this afternoon. She loves that more than anything in the whole world. And that makes my day a win. And I've got 2 other things on there as well. But that's the question I ask myself every single day. It's what are you grateful for? And what does winning look like today? But that doesn't matter if you haven't made the conscious decision to win this day. That no matter what happened yesterday, you're going to turn up and give it your all today.
I love that, James. That's a really great answer. And the fact that you got in gratitude there as well, absolutely winning. Tell me though, so this podcast is Talk Healing to Me, and a lot of people that are listening maybe might be in the process of healing or might be dealing with something in their life, whether it's a challenge in health or something else. Tell me about a day when you weren't winning. What did you do to turn it around, and what was the lesson that you learned?
Yeah, another really, really good question. So there was one last year I was hosting an event with a very, very good friend of mine, and it had been a scramble. Like, we had the most incredible list of speakers I had truly ever seen at an event. We had more than 60 speakers from around the world, and everything was great, but it had been a scramble just getting a lot of people to register for that event because it was a time when the world was going virtual. There was just a lot of free events out there for people trying to just basically get people involved that they could upsell to all of these different things. And we just wanted to put on an event that could show people how to leverage their passion and lean into their passion to monetize it at a time when they needed it the most. And it was just a mad scramble getting all of anyone who's done an event before knows exactly what I'm talking about here. That mad scramble up until this first event, because again, as the first event, we hadn't done any of these. We didn't have any of these systems or processes and things in place for this particular brand. And I woke up in the morning and I felt a calf muscle, like a leg cramp, which is quite an excruciating feeling for anyone who's experienced that. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is not the way I wanted to start the day." And then I took one foot out of the bed, and my legs spasmed again, and the glass of water I was holding just poured all over my mobile phone. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is horrible." And I looked down, and my mind intent bracelet that literally says "win the day" had snapped off for the first time ever. And I said to my wife, "Oh my God, this is going to be the best event of all time, or it's going to be a total shit show." And it ended up being an amazing event. But the way I handled it was like, okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's focus on what we can control versus what we can't control. And ultimately, it was all the preparation and things that had been done in the lead up. And not just preparation for the event, but preparation for me of having interviewed so many people, hosting so many events in the past, just being involved in discomfort for so long meant that it was very, very easy for me to turn up, even though it was such a horrible start to the day. It really was. I was in my own head. And of course, there was a delicious coffee in there somewhere that helped me get back on track. And it ended up being amazing. And I will never, ever, ever forget that moment because it felt so brutal at the time, but focus on what we could control. And yeah, again, all of that training and preparation for many, many, many years. It's just who we are right now. We're so much stronger for all of the adversities and challenges that we've already overcome. So I think a lot of us forget that. It's important to remember that if we're still standing, we're still breathing, we've learned so much from all of the challenges that we've faced.
Yeah, sometimes it really is to remember how strong and how powerful we really are. And it can be really easy to forget that when things are not going our way. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, which I thought was lovely, was actually on the way to give the TEDx talk. And I was thinking, oh God, I don't want to do it. And I'm nervous. And this person said, well, your car is facing in the right direction. Just keep going. It's facing in the right direction. Just keep going. And it was so simple, but yet so powerful as well. Like, you're pointing in that way.
That's
Just keep going.
Yeah, it's a really, really good lesson. And for those out there who I recently started a new fitness class. Actually, it's something that I love. I've only done 2 classes now, but I really, really love it. And on the day where you just feel like not turning up, it's that motivation to say, I don't need to go in there and do an amazing session. I just need to get there. That's it. Your goal isn't to go in there and crush it. Your goal is to just turn up, because the moment you walk through the door, you know you're going to get your ass kicked because of the environment, the accountability and motivation and everything that's already there. But doing an amazing session can seem almost too much of an insurmountable task in the present. But if you shift that goal to something much smaller, can I hop in my car and drive 5 minutes? Absolutely, I can. I'm going to do that right now. And it's just a good mindset shift to turn those big goals into something small to make sure you go there and give it your all. And I know you would have done that with your TED talk too. And I can't wait to watch it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, really, really great point. So when we think about, winning your day, there's a lot of time that we take a lot of actions, right? And I like to think it's about your way of being, because we can be doing things and be very busy, but we might not be enjoying them. You have, you're thinking of Rich the Legacy and what you created there. Talk to me about the power of thinking and how important is that to you and what difference has it made?
It's been absolutely paramount in everything, because the power of the thoughts and knowing that what's possible for you is just so important. There's a Napoleon Hill quote that says, action is the real measure of intelligence. Action is the real measure of intelligence. And when I was in high school, when I graduated, they put so much emphasis on what they call the OP score, which I believe stands for overall position, but they basically rank you from 1 to 25. And I was very much in the middle of the pack for that. So you would have thought that all the people who are getting the OP ones and performing the best academically would be the ones who are most likely to succeed for the rest of their lives. And it's just not the case. So what happens is how well that you can harness the resources that you want to go after exactly what it is that you want in life, and having that resilience that when adversity inevitably strikes, as it does for all of us, what are you going to do to keep moving towards your guiding star to achieve all that you want and have the impact that you want to have on the world? So, action is an enormous thing for me, and making sure that I always focus on action is the real measure of intelligence. It's one of my favorite all time quotes, and it should give confidence to people who perhaps might not have achieved what they wanted to in one field, that there is still so much time and opportunity for them if they can have that simple shift in mindset.
I love it. I love it. Really, really great. Your fountain of knowledge. And look, there's so many Napoleon Hill quotes that you could sing to. You could write a book just on one quote alone. It brings us on to, and I'm going to do a quick fire round with you in a minute, which was inspired by your rocket round, which I love. But tell me, in what minuscule way, if you were to say to someone, it's really important to win your day, do this, what's the one thing you would tell them? Absolutely do this thing. This episode of Talk Healing to Me is sponsored by Clean Boss, the world's most powerful botanical disinfectant and cleaner, created by the one and only Joy Mangano, the legendary inventor behind the Miracle Mop and the woman whose story inspired the movie Joy. And let me just say this, her story saved me. Years ago, at one of my lowest points, sick, uncertain, and starting over, I kept watching that movie on repeat. It reminded me that resilience is real, that you can rise, that there has to be a better way. And that phrase, there has to be a better way, became a guiding light for me. And it's why Clean Boss feels so aligned. Because let's be honest, most so-called green cleaners, they don't kill germs. And the ones that do are loaded with toxins, with fumes and warning labels. But Clean Boss is different. Formulated by Joy herself and powered by nature with a little help from Pitbull. Yes, that Pitbull. Clean Boss is a botanically based disinfectant that kills 99.9% of viruses, germs, and bacteria. And it's safe enough to use on your kitchen counters, your baby's high chair, or literally anywhere in your home. No rinsing required. No scary ingredients. It's powerful, safe, and a perfect example of what this podcast is all about. Smart, everyday decisions that add up to real healing over time. So if you've ever found yourself thinking, there has to be a better way, this is it. Check it out at getcleanboss.com/Karen, because healing starts with the small things, and Clean Boss makes those things count.
I would tell them it would be two things. I know I've sort of changed your question a little bit there. The first one is that conscious acknowledgement that this day is there to be won. I literally have win the day on my Mind 10 bracelet. There's a moment there where before I stand in the cold shower, I look down at this bracelet and I just think to myself, win the day. What does winning the day look like? And I close my eyes and I only step into the shower once I have had that acknowledgement that today is there to be won and I'm turned up, I'm ready to go. And the other one is thinking about what does the win actually look like? Because you can't win the day if you don't know what it is that's going to get you to victory. So I always think about what 3 things I'm going to achieve that's going to win this day. And those 3 things nag away at you throughout the day and night until you get them done.
Brilliant. And do you write those in your journal or?
I do. Yeah. So I was always writing them in the 5-minute journal when I was using the 5-minute journal. And now I write them in the Day One Journal app. And I even do them just mentally. Like I think it's great to do it as much as possible, but I do it mentally in the shower as well, this cold shower, because it puts you in that face of adversity early on. I think it's so easy, especially with how comfortable our beds are. I mean, I had a friend of mine, Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor. He's the world's foremost authority on sleep for high performance. And I said to him the other day, I was like, why aren't we sleeping on a bed of needles? Like, it would be so much easier for us to get up if these beds weren't so damn comfortable. And yeah, so it's very easy for us to trick ourselves into staying in bed and go downstairs and get a hot coffee and sit in the air conditioning and all of these different things. We have all of these creature comforts. So flipping the script on that at least a little bit by putting yourself in the face of discomfort and adversity early on, which for me is a cold shower that just says, look, no matter what, I'm just, I'm experiencing this adversity. I'm getting through it. I'm stronger and I'm feeling good as a result of having this small win in the day, which for some people, maybe it's the discipline of making your bed every morning, like, or doing a fitness class first thing in the morning, whatever, doing some journaling, whatever it might be. But I think having that face of adversity at some stage is a conscious acknowledgement and action to create that momentum that's going to help you face adversity head on and continue that momentum throughout the day.
Brilliant. I have so many follow up questions to that. First of all, brilliant, by the way. Uh, do you have an entirely cold shower, like the whole thing, or do you warm it up at some stage?
Freezing cold the whole time. Yeah, it's not freezing cold. I live in California. Like in winter, it certainly feels freezing cold. But the one at nighttime that I have, so I'd heard all the physiological benefits of cold showers. And I actually tried to, and it's a phenomenal productivity hack. Cold showers in the morning, they get your mind into gear very, very quickly. They really do. So between a cold shower and a hot coffee, there's just nothing I feel like I
At
can't
the same
handle
time, though.
after that combo. Yeah, that's right. And then at nighttime, because I love a hot shower more than anything else. That thing is steaming hot. It's going to go for at least 10 minutes. And it's just a nice way at the end of the day that I just decompress and have a moment. So I did try doing the cold showers at nighttime and I just didn't notice any physiological advantage whatsoever. Some other people have. I haven't. So I thought I'm just going to do the morning cold shower and then I use the hot shower at nighttime as a reward.
Nice. I like a cold bedroom at night and then getting into my covers and getting cozy. I like that. I leave the back door, like, so I have a balcony in my bedroom and I leave that door open all day. So when I come in, I'm freezing. So I can't wait to jump into bed.
Yeah, you can start
Great.
with your bed. It's perfect, isn't it? Yes. Some mistakes I have made, if I have that searing hot shower too close to bed, your body, your temperature is a little bit too high. So I try and just do it a little bit earlier before bed because I'm exactly the same. I like to have a nice cold room so I can snuggle in as much as possible.
Love it. And then I have another follow up question to you visualizing yourself, which is great that you do that before you get in the shower. And I love that you've, tagged on that habit onto something that you already do existingly, which is great. I have some clients when they're making a cup of tea or coffee that they stand at the kettle and meditate while they're making that cup of tea. And that's their trigger to just take a few minutes to breathe mindfully or whatever it might be. But I'd love to hear when you're visualizing winning your day, are you picturing yourself in your body, like you're feeling those things in your body, like they're already happening? Or are you seeing yourself do whatever it is?
It's a bit of a combination. So for that specific moment where I'm focusing on what those three things are, I will actually get my morning coffee, which is very, very important part of my day. I only have one or two coffees a day. I never really have any more than that. And it just gets me in the right frame of mind. And coffee culture is massive in Australia. And so I take my morning coffee outside. I just sit out there in the backyard by myself on a chair with my feet up and birds are chirping. There's trees and things around. And it's a really beautiful moment. So that's when I just have that conscious acknowledgement of just what would I feel at the end of the day from having these three things ticked off. And that's a really great feeling. And then if there's something that's really difficult, not difficult, but something that's where the stakes are pretty high, it's important to really succeed. I close my eyes and think about what is the optimal energy that I want to bring into that situation to get the optimal result. And I just play that through a few times. And I was on a TV show that'll be airing in about 4 weeks. And there were a lot of situations there where there was at the very end, like the final day of filming, there were probably 70 people in my house as part of this production team. I mean, there was like an enormous amount of people there. And it's easy to get very overwhelmed in that situation. And if you can't deliver or if you can't even turn up, that's a lot of money and a lot of responsibility and things that you have put onto other people. And it was a great situation just to test that and dance with discomfort and try and have those situations as much as possible just to continue growing. Because the reality is doing that TV show, I was 100 times more comfortable doing it than my friend who was also doing it, who's an amazing guy, but he doesn't do any on-camera work. So it was more of a challenge for him to be able to get into that mindset. It was easier for me to know what to expect and deliver that result. So if anything that's really, really urgent where the stakes are very, very high, I play that scenario in my head in its most ideal situation. And it means that because the brain doesn't know the difference between memories that already exist versus imagined memories that you have created for the future. And it works so well. It works incredibly well. And then when you're faced with that situation, I just close my eyes and take a deep breath and step into that moment that you've already played through in your head many times before.
Ah, how eloquent. Gorgeous. I love that you said dancing with discomfort. Really beautiful. So I have one final question for you before we go into our quick fire round. And that is, you are a master at winning your day and have inspired so many people, me included. Why is it important that you win your day? And what can you do if you do?
Really, really good question. Yeah. So the whole win the day thing for me came when I was asked to be involved in the Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy project, which, as you mentioned earlier, that's where we created a film about Think and Grow Rich for the first time. I wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy as part of that project. And there was one passage that just stood out to me as I was reading all of this Napoleon Hill material. And it was that the poverty conscious will automatically overtake any mind that is not preoccupied with being success conscious. And I was like, that's crazy. Then I was like, I was trying to, because some of the language of Think and Grow Rich, it was released in 1937. It's pretty old school language. And the way, like I was thinking, what can I do to introduce this to a modern audience in a way that they just totally get it? And what kept coming to me as I was working it through was each day, if you do not make the decision to win, you have automatically made the decision to lose. Because if we don't know what three things going to be successful for us today, then it's easy for us to be distracted and procrastinate and fall into someone else's plan. And when we do that with our financial health, our physical health, our mental health, our careers, all of these different things, we wake up one day and we ask ourselves, how did I get here? And it's a horrible feeling to know that you're starting from ground one again in any of those situations. So that's where I was able to condense all of that into just win the day. It was a simple mantra, and that was where the Win the Day podcast came from.
I love it. But if you are, it's really a great answer. And if you're winning your day, say you've won your day, what does it actually allow you to do then? What is it in life that you want to do because you've won your day?
It gives you confidence and it gives you momentum to have an even better output and impact the next day. That's pretty much what it is. It's giving you that momentum. Momentum comes from confidence. Confidence comes from basically how well you've been able to deliver for that day. So being able to say, look, here are these things that I've got on my list. Not all of them are easy things. In fact, a lot of them are quite challenging. And when you can look at your output, and there was something recently that was shared to me. So there was Seb, who I mentioned earlier, about his 100 things list of all the things he wanted to experience. And he's got some crazy, crazy things on there, like marrying a stranger in Las Vegas, getting shot in the chest, both of which he's done. He was wearing a bulletproof clothing, happened in Colombia, visiting a death row inmate, like a whole bunch of different things like that. And John Assaraf, who was the star of the film The Secret, who a lot of people might know, he had mentioned he had an achievement board. So Seb has his experiences that he looks back on, which give him energy. John Assaraf has an achievement board where it's not a vision board for the future. It's an achievement board where he reflects on all of the achievements that he's been able to make to this point. And when you can look back at those things, even if it's just 3 things that you did yesterday that make today a win, or when you bought yourself a car or a house when at one stage you never thought that was possible, or any number of any successes or victories or positives at all in your life, that gives you so much motivation that you can take forward and say, wow, if I've been able to achieve those things, surely just getting to that next step is so important. So it's that victory, those little victories that add up, they create that confidence, which creates that momentum, which enables you to create bigger goals and bigger dreams. And then you turn those goals and dreams into action plans and actions that you can take tomorrow and today that's going to get you to that result to have the impact you want to have.
Oh, beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And what an impact you do make, James. Really cool. Thank you. So we're to a quick fire round. You ready?
Yeah, good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So you mentioned a couple of quotes already, but what quote inspires you the most?
Action is the real measure of intelligence. That's one that just stands out so much to me. I really, really love that. I'm a massive quote guy. I really do love a good quote. So there's so many out there. There's a Jim Rohn one that says, "Run the day, or the day runs you." Tony Robbins, "Decisions shape destiny." There's so many great quotes out there. So yeah,
Okay.
actually, every single one of my podcast shows, I start with a quote too. So yeah, there are a couple of my favorites.
Amazing. Really great. Morning coffee or evening wine?
Or both, actually. I think it will be both today, but morning coffee is always an absolute given. And when it's time just to relax and unwind, I do enjoy a glass of wine every now and then too.
Nice. What one bit of advice would you give your 18-year-old self? Ready to turn inspiration into transformation? Join the Inner Circle Book Club, where we explore life changing books that spark energy, confidence, and joy. Each month, we read, reflect, and challenge ourselves with exclusive coaching, powerful insights, and engaging discussions. It's more than just reading, it's about real change. Join us out with the link in the show notes and get ready to start your next chapter today. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Let's grow together.
Ooh, good question. I would track down mentors, people who are successful in a business perspective for an industry that I think is exciting or that I'm a little bit interested in, and I would do exactly what they tell me to do.
Really great. Yeah, I'm doing exactly what you're telling me to do. So I found my one. Great.
And so,
Um,
so that like that is so important because if you don't do that, you're just going to hang around a bunch of teenagers. They're busy trying to it's a bit of a pissing contest. You're trying to impress the other person when no one knows who you are. But getting around people who have been through all of that, they're here to have a massive impact. They understand the things that can help move the needle, things like books and relationships and creating products and the power of all of those different things together and daily routines. That's what it's about. It's being able to tap into that as soon as possible because if you can do that, it helps you figure out exactly who you are. And that's the whole idea of those different things. It would all go back to me being more comfortable and understanding the truth of exactly who I was because I feel like as a teenager and a young adult, it just took me too long to get there.
um, it's a really great point because I think a lot of times we feel quite vulnerable asking for support and help and actually going and finding someone that's already done something that you want to do, just asking.
Yeah, and when you do that, you're gonna get away from the victim mindset, that "woe is me" mindset, and I'm at the point now at 38 years old where I genuinely feel like nothing in the world could stop me. If I got hit by a truck tomorrow, I don't think that would stop me because I've just interviewed enough people and people like you, like people who have overcome enormous adversity and have been able to channel that into much greater impact. And if you ask the 15-year-old James and the 18-year-old James, I'd probably be talking about lamenting the fact that so many other people had it so much easier or being able to achieve all of these different things or just having that victim mindset. It's something that I really struggle to reconcile today. I'm all about the growth mindset.
I love it. Great answer. What book do you gift the most?
The 5 Minute Journal has been the book that I gift the most, the 5 Minute Journal.
Okay, brilliant. Was there a vulnerability you once hid within that became your superpower?
Anxiety was the big one for me. So with anxiety, it was something that was very debilitating for me in high school and at the start of university. It was very, very, very difficult. It was a very solitary, intense battle that really no one, apart from a handful of people, even less than that, who were very close to me. There was one person in particular who was going through a similar battle when he was doing, he almost dropped out of med school because of his battle with it. Yeah, that was something where it was really not that long ago. I decided to share my story publicly about that. And it's just one of those things where it's just that armor that you're wearing, you just shed that. And it's just, I've received a lot of feedback that that's helped a lot of people because people who go through anxiety, there's people out there who suffer. I think it's about 15% of the population suffer from it in a really debilitating way. It's like back pain. Anyone who's gone through it has an instant empathy for anyone else who's gone through it. So that's just something that enabled me to was so difficult at the time, but it gave me a lot of empathy for a lot of people, and it also enabled me to get more comfortable in my own skin when I was able to share that and help other people.
Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And I bet so many people can relate to that too. Now, what is your ideal date? What does it consist of?
Oh, ideal date. It's got to be somewhere that involves outdoors in some capacity. Ideally, the ocean. Like I really just love the ocean, being by the ocean. That always makes it really nice to me. So I'm sure there'd be a couple of drinks involved too. Yeah, maybe some nice seafood or some tacos. Yeah, just having a good time.
Nice. Food, drinks, and outdoors. A good date. Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you had a
It would. I was going to say it would not involve a really loud nightclub or anything like that where you just can't hear anyone talk. So as long as you've got a bit of background atmosphere, that'd be nice to set the mood. But it's nice to be able to hear each other talk too.
imagine your 18-year-old self hearing that.
That's right.
Very good. I don't know if a roast dinner is an Irish thing, but like, hear me out with this question. If you had a roast dinner, which would be like roast potatoes, carrots, and whether you're a vegetarian or not, maybe chicken or a nut loaf, and you had some stuffing and maybe some gravy, do you eat your favorite thing first, your favorite thing last, or a little bit of everything together?
Great question. So I grew up on roast dinners. Every week it'd be roast lamb or roast chicken. Fantastic. So there wouldn't be a maybe about the gravy. There would be gravy over everything. So the very first thing I would do is just douse that bad boy in gravy, and I'd probably start with the potatoes. But it's annoying when you finish on a bite of like broccoli. You wanna, unless it's absolutely doused in gravy. I like to save even if it's just one potato with a bit of gravy on it, because that's just a nice way to finish with that taste in your mouth. But in my family, growing up, if you had any potatoes left on your plate, they'd be stolen. So it was always a bit of a catch-22.
Brilliant. Is that your favorite thing last then?
It would be favorite thing first and favorite thing last. It'd be just having a bit of a combination. And as recently as last week, I learned how to make a good home gravy, which is a bit different to the Gravox product that we used to use back in Australia, which I still had. Yeah, so I love just gravy, potatoes, a roast. There's nothing better.
Nice. Sorry, did you just say broccoli?
Yeah. What do you say, broccoli?
Broccoli. Is that an Irish thing? Like, you've kind of blown my mind a little bit there saying broccoli. Am I today years old when I realize that I've been pronouncing it wrong? Or do you just have a weird way of saying it?
Yeah, I think it's an Australian thing. So what is it? So in America, I think they say broccoli too. I actually took my daughter to the supermarket about 2 months ago, and I held up a piece of broccoli, whatever it's called, and she just dived at it like a lion with a gazelle, and just took a bite out of this raw broccoli, and I was like, oh my god! And she still brings that up. She's only 2 years old, but she keeps saying, Sophie, eat broccoli at Vons. And yeah, it was a funny moment. But yeah, we say broccoli. I think in America and everywhere else in the world, they might say broccoli.
Okay. Well, I am going to go investigating this now. That's kind of blown. Out of all the things you said, that's blown my mind. Okay, brilliant. I asked that question to someone a couple of weeks ago at an event, and their answer was, I eat everything on the left-hand side of my plate until I get to the right. I was like, what? What? Like, what if you turn the plate around? So, no, just whatever way it lands. I just move from left to right, which I thought was phenomenal.
Process driven. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Moving on. So, if you had three people to choose to have dinner with you, dead or alive, who would they be?
Hmm. Oh, so many different ones for this. Elon Musk, I think, would be amazing. I think history will cite him as just an absolutely extraordinary individual in the face of humanity. He would definitely be on there. Oh, probably someone like Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary had a very big influence on me in about 2012 when I was starting out on the entrepreneurial journey. He's just an amazing guy with what he's been able to achieve. So probably Gary, he'd bring a great energy too. And I think third, it'd just be a friend, just someone who we can share stories of the time about our amazing dinner at times. Yeah, Karen, I'd throw you in the mix. That'd be great. We could
I
always
was
talk about
pointing at myself
dinner.
for anyone that can't see this. No, pick someone else. I was kidding.
I was going to say, if I say my wife, she'd probably want to go home early, but at least she'd be there for the long haul, Karen, or one of my other friends, where we could have a few drinks and yeah, just keep the good times rolling with our dinner party.
Brilliant. Right.
Actually, someone else I would love to include would be Gordon Ramsay. I absolutely love Chef Gordon Ramsay, and especially if he could do the cooking. So if I was enabled a fourth guest, maybe that would be Gordon, because he could be the chef.
Ah, nice. I love the fact that he curses so much. It is so hard not to curse on a podcast. And I haven't quite decided, do you just go wild and drop F-bombs everywhere like I usually do in real life, or just curb them? I'm going to curb them just in case. So 2 more questions. Tell me what your 3 things you're most grateful for today.
Oh, good question. Today, it's the health of our daughter is something I think about almost every single day. I know it's important to mix up gratitude, but we've been very, very lucky with her from a health perspective. Just happy for the weather in Los Angeles. It's been so beautiful lately. I've been very, very grateful for that. And also grateful for your friendship, Karen. You always bring such an amazing energy to every conversation and things that we have. So I always love any day where we get an opportunity to talk.
Oh, you're a charmer. Thank you. That's really nice. And then finally, how do you switch off?
Oh, It'd be at the beach probably, just to be able to get in the ocean or just underwater somehow, somewhere that doesn't involve a mobile phone. I mean, we get glued to these things, and I think it's important for us just to have as much time as possible to be able to balance without that addiction. Or certainly I have that addiction of just wanting to lunge at your phone every 5 seconds. So to be at the beach or swimming somewhere, or even just to hit a tennis with a good friend of mine who just had his second baby, unfortunately. So he's off the grid for maybe a month or two. But as soon as I can get him back on the court, we'll make it happen.
Really, really cool. I can see you doing that. James, you have been an absolute pleasure. You've made me win my day by you being on this today. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for sharing your love and your knowledge and your generosity of inspiration with everyone today. Thanks for joining Talk Healing to me.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen.
Bye for now.
Thank you to our sponsors of this episode. You can visit getcleanboss.com/Karen. And also a thank you to our video and podcast producer and editor, Aoife McNamara at Imagine Media. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Talk Healing to Me podcast. Sometimes the right piece of info can totally change someone's health journey. So if today's episode resonated with you, please pass it along to someone who might find it useful. And hey, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and perhaps even leave a review. It helps more people find us, and I'd love to hear what you think. See you next time, and until then, keep healing, keep growing, and keep listening.